So what happens when one of the greatest actors working today takes a hand in the director's chair? Well, you get Tom Hanks, who directs my number 11 favorite movie of all time, and that is 1996's That Thing You Do. Now, this is a very interesting project for Hanks to take on because not only is he the director of this, but he also is the writer, one of the producers, one of the stars, and more importantly, a lot of the groups and bands in this movie were all completely fake, and the fact that Hanks had to basically create this universe of a roster of musicians and bands that don't really exist and make it work into this kind of a script really is spectacular to think about. So the story of this movie is that you have a pop rock band in the 1960s, a year after the Beatles took America by storm. You have a jazz aficionado, Guy Patterson, played by Tom Everett Scott, unhappily toiling in the family appliance store and is recruited into this band called the Oneaters, who it's supposed to be the Wonders, O-N-E, but everyone calls them the Oneaters, and then they're later renamed the Wonders, after regular drummer Chad, played by Giovanni Ribisi, breaks his arm. And Guy injects this 4/4 rock beat into lead singer Jimmy's ballad. The song's undeniable pop power flings the Wonders into a brief whirlwind of success, telling the tale of many bands who attempt to grab the brass ring of rock and roll in the wake of the British invasion. So what makes this movie work as a whole? There's a lot of great things about this movie that I really love. I love the story that is handled very well here. Hanks does a very good job of taking a story that's been done to death so many times and gives it its own little twists and turns to make it work on its own. The characters are also very good as well. You do start to like all these characters as the movie goes on, and you understand what to like about them and also what you kind of hate about them too. You can understand most of the characters' motivations for existing in this movie. That is, of course, except for Charlize Theron's character, who really is only in the movie for a short amount of time playing Guy's girlfriend. Now, granted, in the extended version, they focus more on her character, but, let me put it this way. There was an extended version of this movie that came out in 2007 on like a 2-disc DVD set that adds over 40 minutes of additional footage to the original film, and that is where you get more character development, most of it on Charlize Theron's character. Now, in this, there's a tastefully steamy look at Guy's makeout session with Tina at an apartment that's included on there. The extended version also goes more in depth with Guy's developing relationship with Faye, played by Liv Tyler, via mad flirting and her deteriorating relationship with Tina, as well as Tina's budding relationship with a dentist, Dr. Collins. It's also revealed that Tom Hanks' character, Mr. White, is not only gay, but is in a relationship with a man played by, of all people, former NFL athlete from the Los Angeles Raiders, and you can see him on the NFL on Fox all the time, Howie Long, which is, I think that's pretty amusing when you think about it. Because there was that one point in time, like, they were trying to set Howie Long up as the next big action star. I mean, he had a role in Broken Arrow, he was in that movie Firestorm, and then he stars in this movie here, and it's just like, it's kind of amusing that Fox tried to make him the next big movie star, and never really took off that way, but he's still at the NFL and Fox this very day, so I guess that better works out in his favor. More camera time is also developed to the romance between the bass player and the lead singer of the Chanterelles. In the theatrical cut, the romance was depicted mainly as an unrequited crush on the part of the bass player, but it's more clearer in the extended cut that his efforts were more successful. And at the end of the extended edition, rather than become a studio drummer on the recommendation of Del Paxton, Guy becomes a disc jockey for the jazz station KGA-SZZ and records a documentary series of interviews with legendary jazz musicians. And really, honestly, you can see why a lot of those scenes are cut out of the movie original release of the film, because you really didn't need all that stuff added back into the movie. I think the original cut as a whole works well enough. It's well paced. It did much of the time that I think Hanks was trying to show, and there were hardly any scenes that felt like they needed to be taken out. With the extended cut, a lot of what they add in this feels very unnecessary. I should also note that Fox also had another director's cut of a Tom Hanks movie with Big that came out around the same time, which added at least a half-hour deleted footage back into the film, and once again, it feels really unnecessary. If the original cut wanted to add more of the relationship between Guy and Tina than it did in the original cut, I mean, it makes more sense because Tina's only in the movie for about 5 minutes in total, maybe just a little bit more, and you really do not get a sense that she's really that important to the storyline altogether. They probably could have added a little bit more scenes with her in the original cut. The extended cut really is just unnecessary, and it really does not serve any purpose to be put together, because the original cut is at a reasonable pace at 108 minutes long. It's a much better film than the extended cut is, so really, that extra stuff is really unnecessary in general. But the best thing about the movie overall is the music, and I mean, you can't go wrong with that song from with the title song, "That Thing You Do." I mean, that's a song that's so great on so many levels. It combines the style of the music of the '60s with a little bit of the rock music edge of the '90s, and it's just a great song in general. I mean, no more I can say about that song has already been said already. There's a lot of movies that's just so. There's a lot of this movie that's just so perfectly done in the original cut that makes it one of my favorites. The characters are great, the music is catchy, the story works well. It's just a lot of fun to watch. It's a great movie that definitely deserves a rewatch and a resurgence. I really hope this movie has a continued cult following over that's been kind of growing over the last almost 30 years. I hope that it continues to grow, because That Thing You Do really is a film that deserves a lot more attention than I think it has right now. It's a great film. It shows what Tom Hanks' abilities as a director can really bring him. It's my 11th favorite movie of all time. So we're heading into the top 10 on the next episode, so go ahead and check out what I had to say about the number 12 film on my list, National Lampoon's Animal House, and I'll see you guys next week. So until then, take care.